From Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, Prime proudly presents the sixth stop of the Brunswick World Team Challenge.
And welcome to ABC West Lanes, where this week we had our largest field of the season, 68 teams. Now we'll see the top three, featuring some talent we haven't seen before, go for the championship. Hi, everybody. It's good to have you with us from Pennsylvania. I'm Bob Dolan with Earl Anthony. An interesting field because we're going to see a lot of new faces, a lot of new talent, and we'll see them right away in our semifinal match with our number 3 seed, Earl, team unsponsored from Washington, D.C.
Now think about that, folks. Team unsponsored. This is a group of 5 guys that can really play. They bowl 4 out of the 5 guys bowl league together all the time, so they know each other's games very well. And experience is always a key factor in the World Team Challenge. So when you look about that kind of experience, when you bowl together as a league team, I think that's very important because you know each other's games. Now, they don't even have a sponsor in league, Bob, so they're in trouble there. But maybe if they win tonight.
I bet they'll have one very easily. Our number 2 seed does have a sponsor. They're from Canada, Brunswick Quantums.
Well, this team, again, experience, again, I keep using that word because it's such an important part of winning a team event. They bowl together 4 out of the 5 guys, and this team bowl together as a team in tournament play. A little different than league play, but they know how to adjust to varying lane conditions. Their team is very tough experience-wise under pressure.
Now, whoever wins that semifinal match will have their work cut out for them because waiting in the championship is our number 1 seed, Columbia Turbo Grips.
And this, again, another very strong team, another very good tournament team, as opposed to team unsponsored, who's a league-type team. Who's going to win out? Experience-wise, who's going to win out? Who's the toughest? That's the question.
It's going to be interesting to see how all of this unfolds, and we're glad you're with us to watch. Semifinal matchup is coming right up.
The Brunswick World Team Bowling Challenge is brought to you by the American Bowling Congress and the Women's International Bowling Congress, providing championship service to sanctioned leagues across the United States. Make sure your league is sanctioned by the national governing bodies. By Lynn Shoes. For the performance approach, it's American-made Lynn Shoes, the choice of bowlers worldwide. By Contour Power Grips, the pioneers of the finger grip industry. More pros choose Contour Power Grips. You should too. And by Brunswick. Bowling is sold on Brunswick worldwide.
Bob Dolan and Earl Anthony with you here from ABC West Lanes in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania for the Brunswick World Team Challenge event. Team unsponsored, our 3rd seed against Brunswick Quantums, our number 2 seed. And this is team unsponsored, their leadoff man, Raylan Claggett.
Yeah, made a great shot for his opening shot on television. You know, this is called team unsponsored because obviously they don't have a sponsor. They don't have a sponsor in their league at home, where 4 out of the 5 guys on the team bowl together. In league for the last 2 years they've been doing that, and it's kind of interesting. You might even say they're team unknown instead of just team unsponsored, but they will be known after today.
Claggett gets the spare in the first, 59% spare shooter in Baker match play, and now we see the leadoff man for Brunswick Quantums, our number 2 seed. And this is Chris Soule. Now, as opposed to team unsponsored, most of the bowlers, all of the bowlers on this number 2 seed have appeared on television before. But for team unsponsored, only one man. We'll see him later, the left-hander, Chris Soule. He's 25 years old, and he starts things off here for Brunswick.
Lane condition we were bowling on has been addressed by the American Bowling Congress to their specifications. It's a very fair lane condition, but not the kind where you can expect big scores. You've got to make good shots, and that's what bowling's all about, folks. You make good shots, you can score. If you don't, you've got your hands full with spares like this. Tough spare, 2-8.
And we have an open in the first for Brunswick Quantums.
Both teams just trying to get their feet wet out there, Bob, and first time that light comes on, you get a little nervous.
Now we see for the first time Ernest Sabu, the captain of this team-unsponsored club. Sabu, 32 years old, second frame.
Oh, got a big break there, Robert. Only the 610.
Contour Power Grip starting lineup brought to you by Contour Power Grips, pioneers in the finger grip industry. More pros choose Contour Power Grips, and you should too. Claggett, Sabu, Spriggs, Chapman, and Smith. Second frame spare for team unsponsored. And filling the second frame and the 7th frame for Brunswick Quantums, this is Alan Tone. Contour Power Grip starting lineup brought to you by Contour Power Grips, pioneers in the finger grip industry. Their lineup sold Tone by Ali Renix and Tim Mack. Tone in the second frame.
This team, experience-wise, I like to use that word because I think it's so important in team play. And this team has played a lot of tournaments together. 4 out of the 5 guys in this team generally bowl a lot together, and they're very comfortable with each other's games. They know how to make the adjustments they like to make, and they get around. You know, they play a lot of different lane conditions, so that helps them to adjust to the varying lane conditions.
Those are the teams we normally see do well in these team events. Those that have bowled together as teams before.
And then there's always that sleeper like this team, team unsponsored. You don't know, they're an unknown quantity. A lot of talent on this team, very good players, but a lot of people have never seen them play before.
I would think many bowlers would believe, Earl, that it's easy if you just gather 5 individual bowlers and make a team, but it's not that easy. It takes something different to make a good team.
That's exactly right. And there's a great shot by the young left-hander there, and Ernest Spriggs. And this team, again, like you said, it's very important that they match up mentally and how they think and how they adjust. So there's no personality conflicts. It's hard to be a unit and bowl like a team if there are personality conflicts.
So the strike from Spriggs in the 3rd for team unsponsored. Now 3rd frame. Brunswick, Chris Vialli. Looking for their first strike of this match. Remember, it's a 2-game total pinfall in the Baker system.
This young man has played in a lot of tournaments. He's very experienced, and again, he's been on teams that have done very well in the World Team Challenge in the past. So you could expect him to be the kind of player that is not going to hurt you. It's going to help you whenever you need a mark, you need something to fill. And that's probably why he's bowling in the middle position in the 3rd spot.
Team unsponsored with a 10-pin lead early on in this first semifinal game. Now Anthony Chapman, he is the one member of this team that has appeared on television before.
Just a young guy, and really got a lot of talent. Throws a tremendous ball, he's very smooth. For a big guy, a guy this size, he gets to the foul line like a ballerina. It's just amazing how good his tempo is and how consistent he can be with the release. And here's another look at it. Watch how free the arm swing. Look at the balance at the foul line. He gets through the ball extremely well. And just look at the big look in the back. That's what got him in trouble. But he's an excellent spare shooter. This one got away from him. 3-6-10, and he missed it.
4th frame for Brunswick Quantums, Warren Renix. 3rd time in the World Team Challenge event. 3rd time on in the TV finals. 4th frame, still looking for their first strike, and that won't be it. The lanes here for the championship, 43 and 44.
Here's another look at that shot here, Bob. And watch this ball. It just barely got to the right of the head pin and just made a left turn. And again, the lane condition is a very fair condition, but you have to make good shots. If you make a mistake, it'll emphasize it. The back ends are dry. There's a lot of oil in the first part, but there's nothing in the back. So you've got to get the ball started through the head area, the first part of the lane, on the line you want it on, or it's going to leave it. Again, spares have been tough.
Renix was near perfect in spares, 16 of 17 in the match play, but he misses one here in the 4th. Now the anchorman, our first look at the 2 anchormen, and this is Norman Smith for team unsponsored.
He's a very confident young man. He really believes in himself, and he shows a lot of poise on the lane. So he could be a big factor in this match because so many of our matches come down to the end. And there's an ideal shot, the first shot on television. He really got the job done.
Beautiful ball from Norman Smith.
Here's another look at it, and watch the release here. He gets it well out of the lane so he can control it. And look where he's playing on the lane. Isn't that kind of exciting, folks? He's not playing 5th arrow. He's playing between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. That's where you belong. He knows what he's doing out there.
Anchorman for Brunswick Quantum's Tim Mack. Now, we have seen him on television before, Earl, but he's been wearing a football helmet.
That's right.
He played for Penn State, played under Joe Paterno 3 years. They went to the Fiesta Bowl, Blockbuster Bowl, Citrus Bowl, and Tim Mack played there.
And his father was a fine professional bowler, so that's probably where he got some of that athletic talent. In fact, Jim Mack, his father, won the 1973 Classic All Events at the American Bowling Congress Championships in Syracuse, New York.
Mack is still a student at Penn State. He's a grad student. And looking for the spare here in the 5th for our number 2 seed. But they're struggling at the moment, and they trail by 12. They're trailing number 3, Team Unsponsored. We'll be right back. Second time around now for all the bowlers. Filling the 6th frame for Team Unsponsored, Graylin Claggett. He started with a spare in the 1st frame.
Well, there's almost always an out of bounds on the lanes, and generally when the American Bowling Congress does the lanes, it's going to be outside that 1st arrow. They don't want you to play on that edge and be able to bounce it off the edge and shoot big numbers. And there again, he got that out in that area outside that 1st arrow, and it's just not going to hook back from there. It's just too much oil.
Perhaps you can see, Earl, how tall he is, 6'4", and I wonder if it's what adjustments a taller bowler may have to make that a shorter one would not.
He has to use his legs more. He has to use his knee bend. He has to get down to line, bend those knees, flex them. And here's a guy that doesn't do that a lot. See how far forward he is with his shoulders? Now he comes back and kind of sits down. That's a great shot, great camera angle. You can see how he kind of sits back with his upper body, and that makes you get rid of the ball early, and sometimes it's hard to control.
Chris Soule, 6th frame for Brunswick. This club still looking for their 1st strike of the match.
You know, that's kind of funny that, you know, this is the team that we talked about has been in all these events. They've done so well in the past. A very strong team. Played a lot of tournaments together. You'd think this would be the team that would be right out there and being dominant and be relaxed, but they're struggling a little more than Team Unsponsored is. Maybe they're taking it for granted, looking to the next match.
Especially, though, when you consider earlier this team struck 55% of the time in Baker match play. Now they're still looking for the first one here in the semifinals. Team Unsponsored up by 15 through 6. High game this week here in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. The team from Hopkinsville, Kentucky, Ebonite Nitro R with an 11.04. And some of the high games, 277. Look at Kendra Cameron there, 268. She bowled tremendous here this week. Former Team USA member.
Kind of interesting too, where she was playing on the lanes. You see a lot of the guys in there with the resin reactive bowling balls, playing the 5th arrow, throwing the big hooks. She was going right up the 2nd arrow and hit the pocket almost every ball.
He's one of the best bowlers in the field here. Savu in the 7th frame for Team Unsponsored with the spare. Some other scores here at ABC West Lanes. High series, a couple of 708s. Robert Brust and Malcolm Hopp, and highest average 216. But again, there's Kendra Cameron with a 213, second highest average in this event. I'm sure we'll see her down the road, Earl, in some of the women's division events.
Oh yeah, we're looking forward to 6 of those later on in the year, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of the best bowlers in the nation on the distaff side out there, showing the guys how to do it.
The distaff side.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
Just slipped right
Horse
out.
racing fan, huh? Alan Tone, 7th frame for our number 2 seed in this club from Ontario.
Oh no, that's trouble there. You know, sometimes a bowler will think, well, the solution to everything is which ball do I throw? And rather than adjusting on the lanes or using the same ball for spares that they use for the strike, especially when it's a pocket shot, as that one was, they'll switch bowling balls and then they can't let go of it because the thumb doesn't feel right or they're sticking or something. And sometimes when you change bowling balls, it's hard to have a smooth release. And as I think is what happened right there to Mr. Tone, who got away, cost him an open.
Spriggs in the 8th for Team Unsponsored.
Got a big break there, and believe me, after that missed spare, if he'd have given it right back, it would have pumped up the team from Brunswick, Brunswick Quantums. But because he got the 7-pin down, he left himself a very easy spare for a left-hander, only the 3 and the 6, and he'll go cross lane at this and use the strike ball. Just let it roll up into the spare.
Get 93% marks in match play, and there's one for Ernest Spriggs in the 8th for our number 3 seed.
We mentioned before how Chris Viale is. This guy's been around a long time. He's only 26 years of age, but he's an old man as far as tournament play goes. He has a lot of tournament experience. He's bowled with a lot of the very best players on the East Coast. And you would think he would be a very settling influence for this team, but he doesn't even look comfortable out there right now, Bob.
He gets him going there, though, in the 8th with the first strike for Brunswick Conference, but still they trail by 25 as we enter the 9th frame. Anthony Chapman.
Boy, he got it.
He got it.
I'll tell you how big that is, folks. Even though this is 2 games total pins, look how relaxed that team is. They're having a good time. And Anthony Chapman is the only guy on that team that isn't one of their normal team members. And watch what happens here. Watch the head pin. The pin right in the very front here goes to the side, comes off the wall, and just enough to knock it down. That's a kind of shot that Ed Bauer used to carry all the time. This kind of guy would do that. But anyway, that loads up to 10th frame.
He didn't carry it enough. That's why he's in the truck.
That's right. That loads up to 10th frame and brings their anchor man up there on a strike and a chance to really extend this lead that they have right now, because obviously Brunswick Quantums just aren't getting it going. They aren't getting the job done. Tough spare for a good spare shooter. 3-6-10. This is always a tough spare.
He got it. Remember, Renix had an open frame in his first frame, the 4th. And again, team unsponsored, again with a 25-pin lead. But it is 2 games, total pinfall in the big. Now the anchorman again, Norman Smith. 3rd-year PBA member. In fact, this year he's competed in 3 national PBA events. His best finish, 53rd in Rochester.
Nice ball again from the anchorman. Well, if he keeps throwing it like that under pressure as he did right there, he won't be 53rd. He'll be up there in the hunt with the big guys. That was a great shot. I like his game. Nice and smooth. He's got good form. He's balanced at the foul line. He's a big, strong guy, so he can create the ball speed he might need under circumstances where you have to throw it hard. That's a big plus in today's game with the bowling balls that they're using now. You have to be able to throw hard, be consistent.
Smith is 2 for 2 so far. 3 for 3.
That's what we talked about. The strike in the 9th by Anthony Chapman when he crossed over was such a big one because it added that extra pinfall on because their anchorman struck out. And this could turn into a huge lead going into this 2-game total pin match, the 2nd game. And remember, they will switch lanes, folks. So maybe one lane's a little easier than the other. We don't know that yet. But when they switch lanes, we'll find out what happens to the Brunswick Quantums when they go to lane 37 here, which could be a little better than 38.
Well, Smith closes the door on his first game. Smith is perfect so far in the first game of the semifinals with 4 strikes.
I said 37 and 8. It's 43 and 4. I'm close. I'm in the same building.
Now the anchorman for Brunswick Quantums, Tim Mack. Again, the Penn State grad student. They're looking at a huge hole at the moment. We often find, or you talk about they change lanes after this first game, we often find that's a key, is which team can adjust quicker to the new lane.
No question. You know, and you know, it's sometimes a factor is the ball return itself. The ball return sits in the middle of the approach. These guys want to get in so far to the left and play so deep on the lane with these bowling balls that you see Tim Mack actually walking around the ball return. Now, when they go to the other lane, the ball return is no longer a factor. So a lot of times they'll bowl better on the odd lane, the left-hand lane, just for that reason. You see Tim Mack standing there drying his hand behind the ball return. And when he steps up on the approach, watch where he stands to throw his strike ball. And then watch his first 2 steps, which get him out in front of that ball return. He'll stand over there as close as he can to it. See here? He's almost touching. He's actually, his left hip is laying against the ball return. Now watch where he walks to. Clear out in front of the ball return. He didn't have to do that on the other lane.
Yeah. A strike for Tim Mack as we wrap up our first game of the semifinal match. The team unsponsored with a big lead at the moment by 46. Semifinal match number 2, Brunswick Quantums will start things off. Remember, they've switched lanes, so they are now on lane 43, and they're in a big hole. They're down by 46 at the moment, losing that first game 203-157. Chris Soule lead off on the other lane.
Well, you can believe while we were away, there was a big pep talk going on between the members of the Brunswick team off to the side over there, while the team from the unsponsored, I guess you got to call them team unsponsored, they were over here just having a glass of water, having a good time, nice and relaxed. But the Brunswick Quantums are kind of mad at each other. They're over there having a look. Come on, you guys, let's get it going. You can see the expressions on their faces are kind of sour and down. But team unknown, they're all pumped up. They're having a good time, and that's what it's all about. They're relaxed.
That's the right attitude to have, and that's
No
what
question.
they had before the telecast.
You know, Bob, I really feel that comes from the fact. Here's an interesting occupation too. So it comes from the fact that they bowl league together. You know, they're comfortable in each other's games and comfortable being around each other. They're friends. So there's no animosity. Hey, you made a bad shot, you bum, or anything like that. It's just let's go have some fun. Sure. Baby split, 310. The idea here, obviously, to cross lane, go cross lane with the ball, fit it between the two pins. And you can see he just picks up his strike ball, and here we go. He's pretty confident. Set it down a little early. Covered. Ooh, very nice.
Nice spare in the first for Claggett. Alan Tone, second frame.
He's a producer. They have some interesting occupations here. Instead of seeing a lot of guys that are just that bowl for a living, things like that. I mean, we got guys that are students and they're producers, credit firm people, print broker. You know what a print broker is?
I have no idea.
That's a guy who goes out and he finds a job that somebody wants some printing done, and then he says to them, you pay me $100 or $200 to get the job done. The guy says, yeah. He says, okay, I'll go find somebody that'll pay me $300 to do it. So he makes $100 and he's happy, everybody else is happy. He doesn't do any printing, he just has somebody else. He's a middleman.
Ernest Sagu, a strike in the second for team unsponsored. He's got a smooth game, doesn't he, Earl?
They do. You know, all these guys look very good. And, you know, like, again, I said, team unsponsored could be called team unknown, but these guys, they are the guys you've got to keep an eye on because nobody expects much of them, and maybe the Brunswick team took them for granted, but Brunswick can't even make a good shot. Nobody on the team seems to make one good shot. Yeah, today, anyway.
Well, with each ball they throw, team unsponsored is becoming less unknown and more confident.
No question about that. And if they go on to win this, they will not be team unknown for very long. And I think they'll have a sponsor in their league. I bet they will.
They may be lined up. Spare from Viali in the third. Look at our sweeper results here this week. We're going to see Brian Kretzer, who finished with a 701 in our championship match. He's a member of our #1 seed Columbia Turbo Grips Club.
A lot of money there, Bob. $13,300.
Spriggs in the third for team unsponsored.
A lot of loft on them. Really good loft. What a great shot that was.
So they're keeping the heat on, team unsponsored is, with that strike from Ernest Spriggs here in the third. And they continue to have a comfortable lead here in the semifinals. We'll be right back. Fourth frame strike for Brunswick. Chapman a spare in the fourth for team unsponsored. So the lead now 54 for our #3 seed. Fifth frame, Tim Mack, anchorman for Brunswick Quantums. 54 pin lead. Now, Earl, we know that no lead is too big or too safe in the Baker.
No,
they have to start making their move and making it now.
Well, on a strike, here's an opportunity, like you said, Bob. Here's an opportunity for them to get it going right here. Tim Mack crossed over and got it.
Maybe this is their turn, their time to make that move. Let's see how the other anchorman, though, responds.
Here's another look at it. As you can see, the ball really hooks early right at that point. And it's so difficult for these guys with these bowling balls to give the ball enough room and stand far enough left. It's almost impossible to get it down the lane sometimes. And here, on the other hand, watch how Norman Smith, bowling anchor for Team Unsponsored, watch where he's playing. Nice and smooth, right over the third arrow, right in the pocket. What's wrong? That's what's wrong. He didn't carry the second pin. What a great shot, and what a bad break for his team.
Up to that point, remember, Norman Smith was perfect, 4 for 4.
Here's another look at him, and watch his form. You see the 2 steps, and then lets it go. And watch what he does from here. Look at the long slide. The shoulders right over the knee. That's where you want to be, right there. The foot out for balance. Stayed right there with the shot.
Does he, Earl, seem to drop it? And if so, how does that affect the shot?
He doesn't drop it. He actually lofts it out in the lane a little bit. And what that does, it just gives it more back in. He's actually releasing the ball slightly on the upswing, and that just makes him get more back in with the ball. In other words, he makes it hook a little harder or hit a little harder.
All right, the lead now down to 43. As we're coming down the home stretch in the semifinals, we'll see each bowler one more time. This is the 6th frame for Chris Soule. Down by 43, his club is. Another strike now for this club. First one for Sol.
Well, they're starting to get a little pumped up. You know, in match play, this team, the Brunswick Quantums, were 7-3 in their 10 matches. And the team unsponsored, who are up now, were 5-5. So they didn't win a lot of matches, but they did stay close with pinfall.
Big ball from Claggett here in the 6th. And he got the strike for team unsponsored.
That shows you how big that 7-pin, that solid 7-pin by the anchorman was.
So it's getting interesting, but team unsponsored still with a nice lead. We'll be right back. Sponsored was at one point 56. Now it's been shaved to 33. And we're in the 7th frame of our final game of the semifinals. Brunswick Quantums, Alan Todd.
Well, that was a big key shot for him, and they blinked first, you might say, and left the bucket, and not an easy spare. If he were to miss this match would basically be in complete control of team unsponsored. The Brunswick team right now is looking to say, you can see his reaction, Chris Sol. He says, come on now, pick this up. We really have to have this spare. Using a hard shell ball, going right at him. That's trouble.
He got it.
Wow, what a great shot. They really needed that to keep him in the match mentally also. If he makes an open there, another look at it. Watch how close this comes to chopping. It just starts to hook right there. Just got some of that 4 or 5 pin. Almost fit between them. My. Well, on a strike, a chance to extend the lead.
From the captain, Ernest Savu.
Nice and smooth, huh?
Beautiful ball from Savu.
You know, I was talking to these guys earlier about you know, their tournament. They don't play a lot of tournaments, but they really enjoy playing league together. As you get another look at that last shot, and they're just a group of nice guys that are out to have a good time. And hey, they're having a great time right now.
47-pin lead. Why not? Viali in the 8th.
Well, this is exciting, and it's an exceptional situation. Going back to tournament experience on being able to adjust to varying lane conditions. Big advantage to Brunswick Quantum's team because they've all been here many times. They know all about varying lane conditions. They know about the ABC conditions. Whereas the team unsponsored, they've only played in one of these once before. So, you know, they don't have a lot of experience in this. But again, it comes back to, hey, if you got a team of guys that bowl league together all the time, you know each other's games, you know how they react, how you're going to react to the changing lane conditions. You can help each other, talk to each other. That's a big plus.
Now, is it too early now, Earl, for this team, our number 3 seed, to start looking ahead at the championship match?
No, I don't think they're looking ahead. Do you? Honestly, I think they're just looking at, hey, we're having a good time. Let's keep throwing strikes if we can. And there's a problem. There's a washout. 1, 2, 4, and excuse me, the 1, 3, 6, 7, and the left-hander is going to have to hit the right-hand side of the head pin, slide the head pin across into the 7. He's going to use a strike ball. Just move a little bit off the strike line, and you can see where he wants it to go, between the 1 and the 3 right there on the right. He'll just move his feet to the left a little bit, use a strike line, try to hook across it. Not too much.
All right, the open then in the 8th frame for team unsponsored. Look at our schedule upcoming. We go to Orange, California, November 18th and 19th, the Regal Lanes, and then the St. Louis Tropicana Lanes in December, also in December 9th and 10th, Greeley, Colorado, and the Seminole Lanes in Seminole, Florida, January 6th and 7th. Warren Rennick's 9th frame.
That was a must-do. Without that one, they had no chance, basically.
This year, Earl, we have 6 women's events, beginning at the Fountain Bowl in Fountain Valley, California, November 18th and 19th, then down to Sunshine Lanes in early January, to Las Vegas, January 20th, 21st, and Expo Bowl in Indianapolis. Now the spare shot in the 9th. Renix gets the spare for Brunswick Quantums. Would you like to enter? We'd love to have you. Call the American Bowling Congress. Ask for Tom Boda for 414-423-3415. Call early, though, because they fill up quick.
You know, the ladies don't have to just wait for those 6 ladies events. They can put a team in with these guys, and we've seen a lot of them do it, and they bowl extremely well.
Well, again, as we saw this week with Kinder Cameron.
Right.
Chapman in the 9th for team unsponsored, on their way to a championship showdown with our number 1 seed, Columbia Turbo Grips. So the team that nobody knew about, nobody heard of, now 1 game away from a trip to the Grand Champion.
Well, they've got it won now. They don't have to worry about it anymore. It's just it's over with. Everybody knows it, including Tim Mack, who's getting ready to finish out the 10th frame for his team. And you can see a little nod of the head there. How'd this happen, guys? You know, we were the favorites here.
Tim Mack looks like a football player. Any former football player played defensive back for Penn State.
He looks like a defensive back,
Yeah,
doesn't
he does.
he? Looks like a fire plug standing there. You know, it doesn't matter, really. It's just get it over with, and all he's trying to do.
I asked Tim Mack what he thought about this season Northwestern beating Penn State. He said, next question.
Well, what'd you expect? He's sitting over there earlier with his Penn State jacket on. You're lucky he didn't try to run over you, Bob.
You better believe it. I was in the booth when I asked him. The open frame here from Tim Mack in the 10th. Let's look at some of our other finishers at ABC West Lanes. Finishing 4th, Perry Park Lanes from Pittsburgh. They just missed making the TV finals. Coors Light from Reading, Pennsylvania, in 5th. Finishing in 6th place from Hanover, Pennsylvania, DJ's Tavern. And in 7th, the club from New Jersey. A team from New York finishing in 8th. They came from 14 states here. Another team from New York in 9th. And then finishing our top 10 from Newport News, Virginia, the Snails. Team unsponsored will move on in our championship match around the bowling world coming right up.
Call now.
It's a perfect 10.
Team unsponsored, our number 3 seed, winning our semifinal match over Brunswick Quantum's 402-345. That's a 57-pin victory, and now they take on our number 1 seed, Columbia Turbo Grips, for the championship. And Columbia has elected to start on the left lane, lane 43. And this is Sean Quinn, their leadoff man. An experienced team this is, Earl. Columbia Turbo Grips, and Quinn gets the strike in the first as we look at their lineup from Contour Power Grips. It's brought to you by the pioneers in the finger grip industry. More pros choose Contour Power Grips, and you should too. Quinn, Bush, Nicewanger, Peters, and Kretzer. Now, first frame for team unsponsored, Braylon Claggett.
Easy spare, only the 2-pin. Shouldn't be any problem at all. And the idea for these guys right now is not to realize where they're at. Just keep bowling like they did in the first match. Get up there and make some good shots, make their spares, and they'll be all right. They've got their hands full. You already mentioned, Bob, that they're going against a team that's been around for a long time. These guys are very familiar with the lane condition and with their own game. What I mean by the lane condition is the fact that they've competed in 12 World Team Challenges before as a team and made the match play 11 of those 12 times. So they're a very successful team besides.
Bob Bush will fill the 2nd and 7th frames for our number 1 seed. Working on the strike in the first from Quinn. This team, Columbia Turbo Grips, 8-2 in match play, Earl. They're from Dayton, Ohio. And very powerful.
No question. They have a lot of talent on the team. Each guy in the lineup, we've talked about how familiar they are with the changing lane conditions, how to adapt to them. So they've all been around, and they're all good spare shooters.
And he just gets that one in the 2nd. Ernest Savu now 2nd frame for team unsponsored. A convincing winner in our semifinals.
I'm impressed with how cool these guys are. They're just, like I say, I keep saying this because it's true. They're out there having a lot of fun. They're smiling, happy. I don't think there's even a sweaty palm in the group. Just making good shots. And, there's another one, an easy spare to 10-pin.
One of the great aspects of team bowling, isn't it, Earl? We just saw how much the support that you see from the guys on the bench. And you see that from every team.
They're out there supporting him, but they're all saying, you get out there and shoot that 10-pin, because I don't want to do it.
You left it, you pick it.
That's right. Well, he switches balls and just hung on. See the big smile?
Yeah, he wasn't sure about that one.
That's what I mean. These guys are loose. They're having fun, you know. Other teams might have said, oh, man, if you'd have missed that, I'd killed you. No, they're out there saying, oh, if you'd have missed that, you'd have walked home.
Not that far of a walk. Washington, D.C., this club is from. That's nice to see, though, isn't it? They're having a great time. No one expected them to be here. And here they are in the championship match. Now, Chris Nicewanger, 3rd frame for Columbia Turbo Grips, our number 1 seed. Oh, wouldn't go.
Here's another look at that shot. You can see he's playing between the third and fourth arrow, giving the ball lots of room. This is a great shot. Just unfortunate the ball didn't quite get enough of the 4-pin to knock it down. Spare is very important. You can see in match play he was pretty successful. Only missed 2. That's 2 too many generally.
And the spare in the third for Columbia Turbo Grips. Ernest Spriggs, third frame for Team Unsponsored. Now again, our number 1 seed did have the option, Earl, of where to start, and they chose the left lane, and that may become a factor later on.
It very well could be. Remember, we talked about the ball return. If you're playing deep inside, can get in your way. This team that we're watching right now, Team Unsponsored, it isn't a factor for them. But for the team that led this tournament, Team Columbia Turbo Grips, they've had a problem with that ball return already in match play, and they're going to have a problem with it in the second game of this 2-game match.
Big strike from Spriggs in the third. Our championship match is underway. Number 1, Columbia Turbo Grips against number 3, Team Unsponsored. We'll be right back. Which is even. And again, like the semifinals, 2 games, total pinfall in the Baker. Peters goes Brooklyn to get the strike in the fourth. Look at some of the averages this week, Earl. Qualifying averages in the regular and in the Baker match play. Columbia Turbo, very consistent. Look at the team that's already been eliminated in the Baker. Brunswick Quantum's 202. Chapman in the fourth.
You know what I think is happening. This is our 4th year of doing this, Bob, and as the teams become more and more familiar with the Baker system, they're starting to get right up there. It used to be they'd average 205 in the qualifying rounds, 190 or 191 in the Baker system and make the telecast. Now that Baker system score has got to be improved because all the teams are familiar with how to play, how to put their lineup out there. 4 years, they will learn it. They figure it out, and now they've got it down pretty good. That's why you see, I think, the scores improving in the Baker system.
Match play records from our 3 TV finalists. Columbia Turbo 8-2, Quantum 7-3, and this Team Unsponsored 5-5. Look how consistent our number 1 seed was, Earl. They started the Baker match play round in 4th and then jumped to 2nd and stayed 2nd or 1st all the way down. Anchorman for our number 1 seed, Brian Kretzer.
Brian, very deliberate player. See him kind of sneaking up on the foul line, but he's a great shooter. He can get the job done. Might get a break here. I see 5 guys were hoping that pin would fall down, and 5 guys were hoping a machine would get down and get it quick.
It often comes down to a battle of the anchormen, and in this match it would be Kretzer against Norman Smith.
That Brunswick pin spotter came down, picked up that pin with the wiggle on it, put it right back down with the wiggle back on it, so you can't beat that. Only the 2-pin here.
And the spare in the 5th for Columbia Turbo Grips. Something interesting, Earl, the scoring comparisons from our last 4 World Team Challenge events.
Yeah, this is the full field now at each event, and it's kind of interesting how the first one at Hubbard, as you look at that, well, actually that's the last, I mean the first one, that's right, that's the first one. That was on a wooden surface. The last 3 have been on synthetic, so it's...
Smith in the 5th.
Here's another look at that shot. You can see, watch, again, the head pin go to the side, come back and spin around, and just the only pin in the rack that was too short right there. Not quite long enough to knock out the net.
And the spare for Smith in the 5th for Team Unsponsored. A 1-pin lead for our number 1 seed.
Excuse me, Bob. Very quickly, I'm going to run through the format so you folks at home that may not have watched the World Team Challenge in the past. We had 68 teams compete. They all bowled 6 games yesterday on Saturday. The top 10 teams, based on total pinfall, advanced to match play, the Baker system. They bowled 20 one-game matches, actually 15 total pin matches plus bonus pins. The bonus pins are 15 if you win a game, 20 if you win the match. They carried their pinfall over, plus their bonus pins, and the top 3 teams then advanced to telecast, which we are in right now.
Well, the leadoff man for Columbia, Sean Quinn, is sure lined up on that left-hand lane. 2 strikes for him. And Claggett here in the 6th for Team Unsponsored. And and he's got some trouble.
Ball never went into a roll. Just he got it going. It just kind of fell off his hand with not much on it, and never gripped the lane, never made the turn. Here's another look at it. You see, he doesn't get much on this ball. It just never, ever gets a roll till too late. Now the washout. Get it on the left side of the head pin. Try to slide the head pin into the 10. No chance.
Oh, wrapped around it. An open in the 6-4 team unsponsored, and Columbia Turbo Grips our top seed with a 16-pin lead. We'll be right back. Well, just what you'd expect from this experienced Columbia Turbo Grips club. Very solid performance so far in our championship match. 7th frame for Bob Bush, and he gets the strike.
And it's a big one. It's a crossover, trips a 6, and it gives them a double and improves their lead. But it also kind of demoralizes their opponent, I think. But again, these guys are having a good time. I think they're going to hang right in there, Bob, and just keep rolling it down the lane.
They seem to be the type of team, Earl, that does not get themselves into trouble.
No, and you know, they work well together, and they're making good shots. That's the key.
From Spriggs there, or Savu, excuse me, the strike for a team unsponsored. Jack Bowers in the crowd, the proprietor at ABC West Lanes. Good job by Jack and his crew this week. All right, 8th frame now for Columbia Turbo Grips. Another look at Chris Neiswaner, 28 years old, league average of 225. His first frame 3rd. Chris had a spare, and now here in the 8th.
Now the Bauer family in this area is very strong in bowling, and they do a hell of a job promoting the game. They have 3 centers in the area, and Gary and Darrell in their own right. Two of the sons that are involved in running the centers are extremely good players themselves, and they've been very successful in tournaments around the country.
Very deliberate team, this Columbia team. Neiswaner and their anchorman, Kretzer. And look out here in the 7th. The first open, the first blemish in this championship match.
That ball just got out to the edge of the lane. Here's a good look at it. Watch what happens when the ball gets out near the edge right there. It doesn't roll. It just keeps sliding. That's where he expected it to pick up some friction and turn left. Didn't do it. He got to the edge of the lane where all that oil is, and it just went right off. That's great to have that oil out there when you're shooting the 10-pin, because you can't hardly miss it. But when you want the ball to finish a little bit and hook, didn't do it for him. Now the lefty, and he's been bowling very well today. Can really use this hit.
Spriggs leads the 7th. Now this team's not going to go away. They make very few mistakes. They fill the frames, which is so important in the Baker. And we should have a dandy second game.
Well, if it comes down to the anchormen, which they so often do, it could be really exciting, these two guys, because both anchormen are very cool under pressure.
The spare in the 8th for Spriggs. Brings us back to Bill Peters. 9th frame for Columbia. 12-pin lead for our number 1 seed. Bill Peters, 37 years old, and back in 1982, the state match game champion in the state of Ohio. He's 2 for 2 so far in this championship match. 2 strikes in his frames.
Now this team Columbia, you know, they've got 4 out of the 5 guys both tournaments together all the time, and the 5th one was the guy you just saw up here, Mr. Peters. He's an easy addition, pretty good addition.
Now Chapman. Chapman with quite the resume. 1992 national amateur champion.
Oh, got a break there. It could have been a lot worse than it ended up being. Only the 3 and the 6-pin standing. Of course, any spare on the right-hand side of the lane that can be chopped is dangerous. So here you see him reaching under the ball return to get a ball that will not hook as much. Just go stand to the left, go cross lane, try to fit it between the 2 pins. Lots of ball speed here. Look out. Oh, my.
He went the other way, but it works.
Well, I don't think he did on purpose.
Spare in the 9th for Chapman and team unsponsored. They're hanging right there with our number 1 seed. Now back to the anchorman. The lead is 14 for Columbia. Brian Kretzer.
Chance to really extend that lead and put some pressure on Team Unknown going into the second game of this 2-game total pins match. On a strike.
eyes never left that target.
Never had a chance there. The ball got up high on him almost from the time it left his hand. Rolled out a little bit on the end, set up right in the middle head pin. He was fortunate to get the 7 pin out. Here's another look at it. You can see this ball is rolling right here. And when it starts to roll that early, it doesn't have a chance to hold the pocket line. Then it straightened out in the end, and everything kind of pushed into the 7 pin, or it could have been a lot worse. Lost a lot worse, I should say, not worst. But cross lane at the spare. Wants to get both pins with the ball.
Good spare shooting team, and he gets it here in the 10th for Columbia.
Well, at least he filled the frame. An opportunity went awry there. It wasn't wasted, but the possibility of going out to 215, a 20-pin difference, only 195 possibility now. And if team unsponsor were to double in the 10th, their anchor man would only be a 4-pin difference, where it could have been much more severe and much more troublesome for team unsponsor.
Last ball here for this club, and look out. Not going to go. Leaves the 10, Kretzer, as his team sits down and watches Norman Smith finish out the first game for team unsponsored.
They played well. They only missed the 1 spare. It was the only open they had, but this right here, Mr. Smith is the key right now. If he can get his team, catch him a double here, at least a mark. Can't afford to open. And if he just marks, they'll only be, say, 10 or 15 pins down. But if he can double, they can be within just a very few pins and show the leaders that they're still in the hunt. There's trouble. Not only did he have a tough spare here, did he leave a tough spare, but he lost a lot of count. There's another look at it. You see he's playing between the 2nd and 3rd arrow, and the ball just never goes too far before it can look back. And I don't know whether that was the lane surface, the bad release, could have been a multitude of things, but just got away from it. Tough spare. If he picks it up, he'll pump his team up. They're right back in it. If he misses it, they're in trouble going into the 2nd game.
And they're in a hole now after the first game. Not what you'd expect from that anchorman Norman Smith. Team unsponsored now in a hole. They're down by 28. We'll be right back. Our number 1 seed is up by 28 after defeating team unsponsored in our first game, 194-166. Second game now. Remember, they've switched lanes. Braylon Claggett, first frame for team unsponsored.
And the ball's just not rolling up for him out there on that outside line, and whether that's because of the lane changing, the condition, we're going through maybe a little transformation of where the oil is. It's moving around a little bit for him, and as it moves down the lane, it could be more difficult to play that outside angle.
And the spare in the first for Claggett. Now let's see how our number 1 seed adjusts to this new lane. Remember, it was their choice to finish on this right-hand lane.
I like this game right here. Good solid game, good balance at the foul line, gets a lot on the bowling ball, and he's very capable. You see the big shoulders. He can get a lot of ball speed when he wants it. Sean Quinn, he's a good player, excellent player.
He was perfect in the first game, 2 for 2.
Oh, my. How about that? Got a lot of action down there. It was exciting, but it just didn't get the job done. Watch the head pin go to the wall. Boom, right to the sidebars. Comes all the way back across the lane and kicks out the 10. They're jumping off that synthetic surface down there, that phenolic pin deck. And the active resin bowling balls, they get them dancing. Hang on. Look out. Major error right there. Not the way you want to start the last game of a 2-game total pin match when you've got the team down. You don't want to let them back in. I'll tell you what can happen there. Right there, he gave away 11 pins. Now, if this young man gets up here and gets a strike, and then he double back, he can really create some excitement here. Get him going, get him right back into the match with a few pins difference.
Savu. Oh, he got it. Ernest Savu.
Doesn't it always seem to happen? You make a mistake, the other guy gets a strike. Somehow they always seem to get a strike, whether it be a good shot or a lucky shot. And this obviously was pretty lucky. Just a little bit of the head pin, gets him flying all over the right side, and he likes it.
Sure. Sure.
Good reaction.
I've never seen anyone reject one of those yet. Hey, Mack can take that.
No, nobody ever wants to shoot it over.
Bob Bush in the second.
He's been tripping the 6 pretty well. That one was solid broken. So Bob's got it going. He's lined up. Must be the left side. Must be pretty good over there. Another look at that shot. He's playing inside the 4th arrow or to the left of it. Ball just never skidded.
Never skidded for him. Went left for him. All right, the left-hander, he's been throwing the ball in the pocket extremely well. Ernest has, and we just can't seem to carry it 7-foot.
Left-hander on the left lane. Spriggs gets the strike.
High and hit him, but he got the job done. Tripped out that 610. A good shot. He gets this ball out there about 10 feet in the air. Take a look at this. That's a good 7-8 feet out in the lane, and that's how he can get it down the lane. But you can see the pin action he got because the ball went into a heavy roll. Shot they really needed. We've got us a match. It's close.
You're saying he did that by design, Earl? He
Well,
threw
he
it out
definitely
about 7-8
lobbed it.
feet.
No question. Yeah, he's been doing that, and that one is even farther.
Nice one, our third frame, Columbia.
Ah, the difference it makes. You know, you carry the crossover as Bob Bush did immediately before that shot, and then Chris Nicewater gets up there and makes the great shot and doesn't get the 10 cut. I mean, this is really a good shot under the circumstances. It's a good angle. The ball entered the pocket. Just one of those things. He didn't carry the 10. So important now to make your spares, fill the frames, because this match is right down to just a pin count right now.
He gets the 10 in the third. And the lead down to just 7 for Columbia.
He's the man that's been there before. He's done it a lot of times in the past. Anthony Chapman. They need him to make a good shot. He needs to increase that ball speed, and he didn't do it, and the ball's crossing over, but he got it. Wow! Sometimes it's your day, sometimes it's not. Maybe today it's the team unsponsored from the District of Columbia that are going to get the job done. Nobody seems to be able to get the ball far enough down the lane before it grips. And sometimes you have to make an adjustment, either with ball speed or get the ball farther out in the lane like you saw their left-hander do to delay that break point.
See what Bill Peters can do. He's been perfect so far, 2 for 2.
I'm starting to think they're aiming over there, Bob.
Why not?
When you hit the pocket, you leave the 10 pin. When you cross over, you seem to be able to strike. They're starting to feel it, I think, a little bit right now. They're feeling like maybe Team Unsponsored it's their day. So it's a possibility that Team Columbia is thinking, wow, you know, get a look at Bill Peters. He has yet to miss a spare in this tournament.
20 for 20, and he gets this one here in the fourth. A 4-pin lead now for Team Unsponsored. So they've charged from behind after losing our opening game. They lost it by 28.
Norman Smith, very cool customer. Steady eyes. Got that one out on the lane, but still looking. That is, what a great shot. Beautiful ball. He knows what's going on out there. What a great shot that was when they needed it the most.
Now the other anchor man, how will he respond? Brian Kretzer. Suddenly they're looking up at Team Unsponsored.
And Brian needs to get something going here. He wants his team to get back in the match. He needs to throw a strike here. Give him something to work with.
How about that one? Kretzer gets that one in the fifth for Columbia Turbo Grips. The lead is 14 for our number 3 seed. We'll be right. Team Unsponsored leading by 14 as we head for home.
This is the key shot for them, I think, right now, because he's been their weakest link up to this point. There he did it again, the washout, and he's the guy they needed. If they could have got by him, if he'd have struck there, I think the match would have been over, basically, because the rest of the other 4 guys are really rolling the ball well. But they need this spare desperately. They must have this spare. Can't afford to give it back now. They worked so hard to get this lead.
And an open in the 6th for Team Unsponsored. Now Sean Quinn. Remember, last time around now for these bowlers. This will be the last opportunity for Quinn to help his club. Look out.
Well, he just overthrew that one, got it out there in no man's land, and he knew it when it came off his hand. It had no chance to come back, and not only did it not come back, but he's lost any opportunity to take advantage of the strike in the 5th frame by the anchor man, Plus, he's left himself a very tough spare. The 1, 2, 4, 8. A lot of ways to miss this. Only a couple of ways to make it. Definitely want it on the left side of the head pin.
He got the spare. Nice ball from Quinn in the 6th.
Well, team unsponsored got a break there. That was an opportunity for Columbia to come back. They let it get by. We're running out of frames now. Team unsponsored can get it going again here. Throw a couple of strikes or even just keep filling frames. It's going to be Columbia's job to make good shots to get back in the match. Or actually to win the match, I should say.
The lead is now just 1 pin for Columbia, as this is Savu in the 7th.
Just keep filling frames. That's what they've got to be thinking. Don't make any more mistakes.
Savu's been very steady all night. Gets the spare here. Now the spotlight on Bob Bush. Boy, when it's this tight, Earl, every ball, every team member, very important.
No question, and believe me, every one of those players down there, all 10 of them, know exactly what the score is, where their team stands, right down to the pin.
All right, great shot. Come on.
He liked that ball, so did his teammates.
They need strikes. They definitely need strikes. Even though the match is almost even, you're looking at a position now where no matter what happens, if this team doesn't throw some strikes, I think, because as we talked before, team unsponsored, it looks like it's their day, Bob. It looks like everything's going to go their way. So this team, I think, is feeling the pressure. Right here, Team Columbia. I think they realize if they don't win this match, go out and just take it away, somehow Team unsponsored is going to find a way to beat them.
Spare from Bush in the 7th. The match is even. So it will come down to 8, 9, and 10. Spriggs, Chapman, and Smith for team unsponsored. Nicewaner, Peters, and Kretzer for Columbia.
The big lefty. He'll get this out in the lane again. Guarantee it. Way
There
out.
it is. Spriggs.
Maybe a little too far out this time. It's tough to repeat a shot like that. When you're throwing the ball 7, 8 feet on the lane, it's tough to repeat it. Get the same exact loft every time. Maybe a little harder this time, maybe a little more ball speed. Doesn't come back. Tough spare. Once you hit the left side of that 3-pin, you can see a little bit of the pressure starting to show on Anthony Chapman's face. Gotta hurry.
He got it.
What a great shot when they really needed it. Both teams starting to really feel it. This is the first time we've seen that kind of tension on the face of team unsponsored.
Yeah, they've been light and loose the entire time. Nicewaner in the 8th.
Didn't take much time. Ready to go.
Got
it to the out of bounds again. The 1, 2, 8. And these spares are not easy, especially when it comes down to the difference could be. You miss one, you could cost your team a chance to go to the championship. Remember, the winner of this goes on to the grand championship, and that is what they're all here for. And one miss could cost your team that opportunity. So they're starting to feel that. That's in the back of the mind. Be careful. I don't want to be the guy who does it.
Oh, he got it.
He got lucky. I'll tell you what, that was not the way he wanted to cover it. All right, here's where you start thinking about experience. Here's where you start getting down to the guys that you count on to deliver under pressure when you need them. And Anthony Chapman's been here many times before.
In an even match, 9th frame, Chapman.
Best shot he's made all day right there. He made a great shot. He went more end over end or straightened it up with more ball speed, played farther out on the lane. You can see he's between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. And that ball has got a lot of speed on it. That's what kept it on line in the pocket area. And the key is he got an easy spare here. Bring it down to the anchor man with a chance to win. That's all you want to do.
Almost like match play now in golf, isn't it, Earl? It's just, okay, my shot, now it's your shot. See if you can match.
It's all about. It's teams at their best under situations where you have to perform, and you've got 4 guys depending on you to make a good shot. And there again, the smiles are gone from team unsponsored. You can see that as it gets down to the nitty-gritty, the anchor man is starting to think, hey, this could be me.
Peters in the 9th.
All right, that's where we are.
Yep.
That's exactly where we are.
It's going to be Kretzer, that man, the anchor man for Columbia Turbo Grips, and Norman Smith for Team Unsponsored. Of course, assuming Peters converts the spare in the 9th. Look out.
Oh my, now I'll tell you what, that's where you start thinking, oh my, now it's down to 11 pin difference in the match, and if the anchor man here can get you double, it's over.
Can you believe that? The open from Peters in the 9th for the #1 seed.
First spare he's missed all day.
Yeah. Smith with a chance to close the door.
Oh my, look at here.
Believe this.
Well, it's never finished for
He
him,
can't.
but it's makeable. Not easy, but makeable. The 2, the 3, excuse me, the 2, the 4, and the 10, and the idea is to get it between the 2 and the 4, and that 2 pin, take out the 10. Very similar to making the washout, just a little more extreme angle. This is going to hook hard on him now. He's got to be careful it doesn't run away. There it did. It ran away for him. Well, boy, it changed in a hurry here, didn't it?
I'll say.
What a difference a few minutes makes in the World Team Challenge.
Well, here's the man.
He's the man.
Brian Kretzer.
He can really make the young man that missed that 1 pin spare feel good. Get something in. Not going to turn. It's not going to turn. Can you believe this, folks?
I can't believe this. He can't either.
He thought he made a good shot, and you know that's a great shot in the situation. This is what he would do normally, but he got it to the out of bounds, and when you get it out right there, it's not going to turn back. And it's amazing that you know, with all the ball experience these guys have had over the years, they couldn't find a way to get that job done.
He got it. Kretzer gets the spare.
What a shot! What? Now look here. The guy before him misses the 1 pin spare, and he picks up the washout. Can you find a way to justify this? Looks like if he gets 8 pins on the next ball, they're a winner.
8 pins to win.
If he gets 7, we have a tie. And a tie is a 9th and 10th frame roll-off.
Kretzer to win it.
I think that's a tie, but I'm not sure.
They're all looking. Everybody looking up at the scoreboard here at ABC West Lanes.
It's interesting, but it looks to me like they've won by 1 pin. I think Columbia won by 1 pin.
They sure did. They're realizing the same thing as you are, Earl, that they're a 1 pin winner.
Well, our statistician Rick standing right here, and he was right. They won by 1 pin. Columbia is the winner.
My, some dramatics here, some unusual dramatics. They are the winner, and we're going to meet them and talk to them right after this.
Brunswick World Team Bowling Challenge is brought to you by Brunswick. Bowling is sold on Brunswick worldwide. By Lynn Shoes for the performance approach. It's American-made Lynn Shoes, the choice of top professionals and amateurs alike. By the ABC MasterCard. Get a grip on your finances with the ABC MasterCard. By Keepsake, designer and manufacturer of championship ring awards. By DBA Products, the industry leader in lane maintenance equipment. By Avis Rent-A-Car, the official car rental agency of the American Bowling Congress. And by the American Bowling Congress and Women's International Bowling Congress, providing championship service to sanctioned leagues across the United States. Make sure your league is sanctioned by the national governing bodies.
Here are your champions from our World Team Challenge event in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Columbia Turbo Grips, 363 to 362 over Team Unsponsored. 1 pin victory. Captain Brian Kretzer, have you ever been through anything quite like that before?
I've been in situations like that and performed a little bit better usually, but we did the job. We worked hard all week and finally paid off. We've been here a few times, hadn't happened, and finally got done somehow.
What happened that second game? You had a nice lead, and both teams in that second game, especially late, really struggled.
called them making bad shots, period. Probably a little bit of nerves and thinking a little bit too much instead of just letting our natural games take over.
Gary Bauer, president of ABC West Lanes, has a presentation. Hi, Gary.
Hi, I'm Bob. On behalf of the staff at ABC West Lanes, especially Helen Tumick and Jeff Kohler, who helped out a lot, and my family and I, it's my pleasure to present you with this plaque. You guys bowled great all weekend. It was a great tournament. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Gary, thank you. Thanks for all your work this week, too. And Earl Anthony, we're putting Earl to work today. Earl, what do you got?
Well, on behalf of the American Bowling Congress and all their members, Brian, it's my pleasure to present to you and your teammates these championship rings. And also these beautiful jackets from the Lynn Shoe Company. Congratulations again, guys.
Thanks, Earl. Brian, you're already looking forward now to the Grand Championship. You know that's where you're going.
Yeah, we are. We're looking forward to it a lot. We've got a couple of great sponsors. Dave Smart for Columbia's backing us, and Dave Bernhardt for Turbo Grips, and our local bowling alley, Rosie Mechanicsburg, Roger Philippi. So they're going to help us get out there with the money we won and hope to win some more.
Brian, congratulations again to you and the team. They're your winners again from ABC West Lanes. So long, everybody.